If you've clicked on this video, you'll be expecting some film photography in Wales, and that's exactly what we're going to give you. You've got 35mm, 120, we've got ColorPlus, Kodak Tri-X, and many other film stocks to try. There's some paddle boarding, there's camping, there's walking, there's fishing, and everything else that you can probably imagine goes on a camping trip. So without further ado, let's load that film and get started. Good morning from a nice fresh Wales. I think I'm one of the first ones up in the campsite, so we're going to try and keep it quite quiet this morning. Last night was pretty chilled. We came in, we set up camp, had a bit of food, as you could see. Nicole is unbelievable at cooking, so that obviously is helpful. This morning we've had a little bacon sandwich. Good way to start the day. We've got a lovely view behind us of like the coast and the sea. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go for a little walk around the coast. Haven't quite decided whether we're going to go sort of that way or that way, but we'll decide that in a minute. And then we're going to go paddle boarding this afternoon. So you're going to get hopefully some nice images along the way. First of all, I want to do a little bit of housekeeping. I tried to get Nicole to introduce herself properly, but this is all I could get. Hey Nicole.
Yes?
Say hello.
Hi.
Introduce yourself to everyone.
My name's Nicole. Go away, leave me alone!
But don't worry, there's plenty more of Nicole to come. On this trip, we have 3 film cameras, a camcorder, and a digital camera, which is doing all the A-roll, B-roll, all that good stuff. But the 3 film cameras, we have Yashica T4, Canon AE1 program, and the Mamiya RZ Pro II. I have got a proper video coming out on the RZ, but that isn't out yet. So I'll go into a little bit of information on that camera, but it is wicked. Medium format is just a massive step up if you haven't shot it before. It makes a huge difference. As I'm sure you've figured out, the first roll of film for this walk was with the ColorPlus, which is a 200 speed film, and we used the Canon. The Yashica was in the bag, but never actually grabbed it out. So these are purely all on ColorPlus. And actually, it's not the first time I've shot ColorPlus, but it's the first time in a long time. First roll of film I ever shot was ColorPlus, but it was such a long time ago. Not quite sure I can be judged on those images, but these ones I was quite happy with. It was a bit strange outside because it was sort of bright, but not that bright. It was just very overcast. You know when you get that random like bright overcast weather? It was a bit like that. And I probably slightly underexposed these photos. I think they would have been better with more light. And I think if I shot this roll of film again, I would maybe go half a stop overexposed. I think it deals better with more light, as most film does, and its latitude isn't quite as good as what I would expect for, say, Portra, which I did shoot during this trip, which we'll come into that later. This shot here was my favourite on the roll. You've got this cool old school Land Rover, the washing line, and this beautiful house, a beautiful view, sort of nicely accented with the valley. And honestly, it's got quite a nice vintage vibe, which I really, really like. If you zoom in, you can see that it's a little bit grainy, and I don't mind it because it has that vintage sort of style. But if you're looking for something a little bit cleaner, then this probably isn't the stock for you. But for the purpose of this trip, I quite like it. And actually, I quite liked how this roll came out. I was actually really happy with it. As I got to the end of this roll, I'm going to give you my images that I would keep, images that I would post on social media, and the images that I will get printed. So first up, these are the images that I would keep. And there's 34 here, which isn't bad going for the first roll of film on this trip. I actually really liked how the images came out, as I said, and it's definitely something that I would take away again because it's got that vintage vibe to it. So these are the images that I would post on social media. Obviously, I've taken out quite a few because a lot of the images were quite similar. But overall, like I said, I was happy with the roll of film. And at a stretch, I think these 4 are the ones that I would most likely print. I think it's worth mentioning off the bat that this trip isn't a photography trip. It's basically a holiday for Nicole and I. We're going away. We love getting outside, fresh air, camping, food around the fire, that sort of thing. It's not a photography trip, but I'm very lucky that I'm able to get out there, make this video, make some photos whilst we're exploring. So none of these photos are going to be world class, so please don't hold that against me. This is a video where we're going to look at the film stock, see how it works on a day-to-day and real life situations without me trying to be too clinical or too perfect. I'm just taking some holiday snaps with my girlfriend. Delta 100 then. This is a beautiful film stock. It's the first time I've shot it and it is bloody good. I very much recommend it if you like the black and white vibes and you've got plenty of light to work with. I actually changed this roll of film on Musselwick Beach. I will go into more information on this later. But for now, you've got the rest of the walk, just 4 more images, and here they are. Once we got back to camp, Nicole made us a lunch and I loaded up the Mamiya 6.7 with some expired Portra 400, which I shot at 200 ISO. Here are a few images to get you started. With all the photo taking and lunch out of the way, we head to Marloes Sands to go paddleboarding. Cue the B-roll. And believe it or not, I actually took a wet bag out onto the sea with the Canon and the Yashica in to grab a few photos. Here are a few of my favourites. And that pretty much sums up day 2 onto day 3. day 3 and we're on to Musselwick Beach. We went straight after breakfast and we walked back along the coast, but the opposite way of which we'd walked the day before. Now, the thing with Musselwick Beach is we've tried to get onto this beach a few times before. We came 2 years ago and we basically just could not get onto this beach. You have to get on at low tide, and I've got a feeling that certain lunar cycles mean that the tide just doesn't go out enough for you to be able to get on. But during a good period, you can get on. And luckily, this is the first time we were able to get on. But more on that in a minute. First of all, we've got to take care of the walk because we've got some cool photos along the way. Once we got to the beach, there was a wee bit of a wait before we could get on. But as I said, more on that in a moment. To stop myself annoying Nicole and to keep myself entertained, I thought I'd take a few more photos. But before we do that, we must be due some B-roll. Most of those photos were taken on Delta 100, this being my favourite photo because you can just see the scale of the rocks and the sea with Nicole as a tiny little subject in the middle. Once the tide had gone down, we were finally able to get onto the beach 2 years after first trying. As you're about to see, it was worth the wait. What you're about to see is Nicole being extremely cute. I told you. Whilst I was here, I didn't grab loads of photos because we were just enjoying being on the beach, to be honest with you. We got in the sea when it was freezing, by the way, but we got in the sea, we had a laugh, we had a bit of food, and Nicole had made a packed lunch. And yeah, we just chilled really. But I did finish the roll of UltraMax, which was in the Yashica T4. And by the way, what a camera. Check out these images because they're quite cool. UltraMax then, I've actually never shot this. So for me, it was the first time. I'd shot it half the roll, but doing a bit of street photography. So I came with the second half of the roll still in the Yashica, which was perfect because I wanted to use it on a beach when the sun was out, and this was probably the only sunny day, so it worked out really nicely. Now my photography tends to lean blue, so UltraMax is perfect. 400 speed is also great because it gives you the flexibility in a varied light conditions. So on a day like today where it was quite sunny, it was still fine, but even if it had been a bit more overcast, it still would have handled the lighting conditions with no problems at all. And like I said, for me, having that blue sort of cast over the image or making the blues and the greens pop really suits my eye. And honestly, I think it works really, really nicely on the beach today. I did also take a few shots on Delta 100 whilst I was on the beach. As you can see over the top now. Nothing particularly impressive, but I do really love this photo of Nicole. It's just a really nicely composed photo. She looks cool. And it's, yeah, one of my favorites on the roll for sure. I actually love shooting black and white at beaches. I don't know what it is, but for me, there's just a really nice sort of retro vintage style to it. I know the beach has the pops of blue from the sky, from the sea, and then the yellow from the sand. And I do love it. And the images that on the UltraMax came out really nicely, but there's something about black and white at the beach that I just really love. I think we were actually only at the beach for maybe 3 hours because of the tides. You simply had to get out before you got stranded on the beach. But before we left, I actually had 2 more shots left on the UltraMax, which I quite like. With most of these rolls of film, I will give them the old keep post print treatment. However, this roll of film only had a few shots really in Wales, so I won't bother. But once we finished that roll of film, I rolled in some Portra 400. We went back to the campsite and then we headed off to the little village called Dale. Dale, as you can see, is a beautiful little village just on the seafront, and it is such a beautiful place, and Portra 160 just looks so damn good. In fact, this is one of my favourite rolls of film. I believe it's massively underrated. I love it for street and I love it for just everyday life, and I actually made a video all about it, which you can watch using that link up there once you're done with this video, of course. But on to Dale then. And this little village is really special to Nicole and I because we came here 2 years ago when we first came to Wales. And it was the first time we'd ever gone paddleboarding, and it inspired us to buy paddleboards. So we wanted to come back, and we knew that they had a pizza restaurant and a really cool pub along the seafront. So basically the plan was grab a pizza, grab a beer while we're waiting, and then also while we were waiting, I snagged a few photos. Good morning from a sunny Wales. I've just made myself a coffee, it's over there, and Nicole is making a sausage sandwich. We're on to day 4. So far it's been unreal, done loads of good things, but the best 2 days are coming up next. We've got, what have we got? Nicole. We're going dolphin watching today, and we're going fishing on Saturday. Today is Friday. So we're going to a little town called Tenby, which should be quite cool. Looking forward to that. And then we're going back to Dale on Saturday to do the fishing. What else are we doing today? Fish and chips in Tenby. What else are we doing today? And then we're going to come back here and do games, aren't we? Nicole hasn't played drafts yet, so ever. So I'm going to teach her how to play drafts. We're going to play some drafts, probably some Uno. Uno, yeah. And that's probably about it. So probably back to future me in the studio. A slight change of schedule because the fishing, which was meant to be Saturday evening, which would have been really cool, sort of sunset vibes, basically got cancelled. There was a problem with the boat. We think it was broken or something like that, but essentially we couldn't do it. So we rebooked emergency last minute style Sunday morning, which was my birthday. So it kind of worked quite well. To go fishing in Tenby. But before we get to the fishing on Sunday, we've got to deal with the dolphin watching, which is also in Tenby. And yes, that is a speedboat. Off the top of my head, I cannot remember for the life of me what the dolphin watching was called, but I will leave a link in the description. And let me tell you, we saw loads of dolphins. And if you don't take my word for it, take Nicole's word for it.
There's loads of dolphins.
Not my finest work in terms of B-roll and photography for this one, but it's bloody hard trying to capture these dolphins as they suddenly come up. This photo here is probably my favourite, just purely because I like the general composition. The dolphins are in the middle of the photo, which always helps. After seeing all the dolphins, we went back towards Tenby, but to an island just off Tenby. And it was some sort of nature or bird reserve. And there was sea lions and birds all along the coast. So we went round the island to get back. And as you're seeing over the top, some really cool photos. But my favourite two photos from this particular trip that weren't of Nicole or the dolphins, although the dolphin ones, as discussed, aren't very good. Basically, the ones that are Nicole are these two here. Firstly, I love the colours here. The orange of the safety ring or whatever it's called to save your life, and the blue of the sky and the ocean are just beautiful. And I love this photo here. The composition is great of the birds on the side of this sort of rocks, I suppose. And if you go nice and tight in, it shows how impressive the Yashica is. It's really clear, it's really sharp. And the colours of Portra 160 and how fine the grain is superb. They're a lovely combination. On the boat, I finished the roll of Delta 100, and I will go into it in a little bit more detail shortly because we'll be able to see which ones I keep, post and print. And I want to talk a little bit about the film because it's bloody brilliant. But before we do that, I want to talk about Picture This Film Lab because I am very fortunate. They look after me massively. Paul and Eddie, who work in the lab, are brilliant guys. Paul is incredibly generous. He's always lending me cameras and lenses. In fact, the Yashica T4 is his and he's just lending it to me for the moment. And what a camera, I'm so grateful to him. But Picture This Film Lab do more than just lend me cameras and lenses. They develop and scan all of my images to a super high standard, and I'm so grateful for the support they give me and the channel. They aren't just a film lab though, they have a ridiculous amount of cameras for sale. So if you are in the Brighton area, get down there and check it out because it's honestly class and I love going in there. Delta 100 then, and what a film stock. I absolutely loved it. It was the first time I'd used it. Usually obviously with street, I need to give myself a little bit more ISO to play with. However, obviously for landscapes and just everyday run and gun photos, 100 ISO was absolutely fine, which obviously just gives you finer grain, as you can see when you punch in on these photos. And I really love just the grain and texture that you get. It's really beautiful. So if you're looking for something that is good for landscapes but can be used for everyday sort of life, then Delta 100 is an excellent choice. I'd highly recommend it. But I know what you're all wanting to know is which of these would I post, keep and print. So here are the images that I kept from the roller film. Believe it or not, there's actually all 39 there. I didn't take what I would consider to be a horrendous photo. So those are the 39 I would keep. And these are the images that I would post on social media in one form or another, whether you've seen them here or whether they're on Instagram. You can follow me, link is in the description. Generally speaking, this was probably the best roller film for me. I think it went really well and most of the images were decent. There wasn't any like really over or underexposed images and there's none that are wildly out of focus. So generally speaking, I was pretty happy with the roll. And these are the images that I would print. Now, obviously, in terms of the actual quality of imagery, they're not like world class, but what I'm looking for here is a nice balance of photos to sort of show off the holiday. And like I said, it was a pretty successful roll. And these I feel are the best that give a nice balance of the holiday, from our beach in Musselwick to walking along the coast to paddleboarding and then being in Dale. I think it's quite a nice balance of the roll itself. So you've got a bit of everything in there. My favourite image though on the roller film was this one of Nicole. It's the image where I'm on top of the rocks, she's down below still on the rocks by the sea, and you can just see the scale of the rocks and how small she is. And for me, that's my favourite shot on the roll. Yeah, that hasn't gone to plan. Basically, a couple of months ago, more towards the start of the year, Nicole and I went to Krakow and I basically did a whole roll of film and it just kept winding and winding and winding. And then I realised that I basically had fucked up when I put the film in. So now I have this fear that it's not winding. And there's a trick. Hold on a second. Wait 1 second. Right, you see this here. When you wind a film that's been correctly loaded, this moves. It's a good pro tip. So there's no film in here, so it's not loaded correctly, so it's not going to move. So basically, I have the fear because it happened to me in Krakow, and actually it happened to me again a second time when I was actually trying to make a video on Ektar. I did a whole roll of Ektar and realised that it hadn't loaded properly. So basically, I fucked up. So I only actually got 15 images out of this roll of film. I lost the first 10. It was a 24 roll film. So I probably won't do a keep post print one of these, but who knows. Anyway, on to 10B.
Did you record it?
I'm going to come back to you. Yes, you did read that correctly. That is milk chocolate orange stout. And let me tell you, it was bloody nice. Here's a picture of me enjoying it. Nicole had a cider, and here's a picture of her enjoying her cider, and a picture of her exploring through the little town of Tenby. So Tenby then. It's a beautiful little town. It is right on the seafront in Wales. I think it was about half an hour from Marloes Sands, which is where we're staying, or Marloes where we're staying. And basically, we went there to go dolphin watching, which we've obviously gone through. But in this little town, you've got everything you could imagine a seaside town would have. It's got little shops, loads of excursions onto the sea, and it's got places to eat and drink and everything like that. And it's really cute. Now, I failed a little bit because I didn't get too much B-roll, but I did get some nice photos here, so I'll run them through now. Very picturesque village indeed, and somewhere I would highly recommend if you're in the Tenby area. However, we're not here to talk about Tenby, we're here to talk about the film stocks being used, and I just wanted to take this opportunity to do a bit of a comparison. We have this photograph here shot on Portra 160 versus this photograph here shot on ColorPlus 200. My initial reactions are that I actually prefer ColorPlus, although if I was shooting street photography, as we've discussed before, I love Portra 160. But again, if you look at ColorPlus, it's nice and punchy. The colour of the sand is beautiful versus the colour of the sand on Portra 160, which is a little bit sort of flat, if you like. It's a bit more of a neutral colour, which is what you would expect with Portra 160, to be fair. And although it's not a fair test as I use different cameras, I am going to punch in on these images to sort of show you that where the difference between ColorPlus and Portra 160 really sort of occur, because they're both of a very similar ISO, but when you punch in, you're going to notice quite a big difference in quality. The shot on Portra 160 was actually taken on the Yashica, and as we've punched in, you can see that it holds up pretty well. Whereas if I punch in on ColorPlus, which was taken on the Canon AE1, you can see that it's quite grainy, especially if you look at the sky. And then if we look again at the sky in Portra 160, you get a much finer grain, much better latitude, and overall, probably a better image. That said, I actually probably prefer the colours out of ColorPlus for this specific image, as I said before, and I actually prefer the composition, but that is just a photographer issue, not a film stock issue. Anyway, back to the campsite now, where we had a bit of dinner and then played some games. 30 minutes into the video now, guys, so thank you very much for watching. I do really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. If you are enjoying the video, please hit like and consider subscribing. There'll be plenty more videos like this to come, as well as the street photography stuff. Anyway, last night I finished the Portra 160, so let's go through it to see which ones we keep, post and print. So of the 36 roll film, I would keep 26 of the images. I got rid of a few of them because they were just me trying to get the dolphins, and they were just obviously no good. And one or two of them were just too similar images to ones I'd already taken, so I chopped those out as well, leaving me with this nice number of 26. These are the images that I would post, ignoring the fact that there's two images that are exactly the same of me in the bottom right hand corner. Not sure what happened there, but there's 21 images overall. So quite, the ones that I did keep, they were quite strong images, I thought. And then tell the story of the holiday or this specific roll of film. So I was quite happy with them, to be honest. I mean, Portra 160 is just beautiful. These are the 5 images that I would print. Firstly, let's deal with left to right. I love this image with a little bit of the houses. You've got the beautiful blue sky, the blue ocean, the green trees, and it's just a nice composition. So that was quite an easy one to pick. Again, we've talked about the next two, so I won't go over them again. I like both of those images. I love the image of Nicole in the toilet at our campsite. I know it's a bit of a strange one, but it just, as a nice memory of the holiday, it's good for me. And then this again is Dale on the right for the last photo, and it's just a nice simple composition, but it's a very calming photo, and Portra 160 just absolutely is beautiful. I had one last photo of the ColorPlus in the Canon, so here it is, and then we'll go straight into keep, post and print. So obviously this was the roll that I fucked up. These are the 15 that I would keep. Nice colors, as I'm sure you can agree. ColorPlus is pretty nice in terms of colors. I like the fact that it's quite saturated, it's quite punchy, and it's got a real nostalgic vibe, which we talked about before. And actually, with a bit of sunlight, it's really nice. And these are the 12 images that I would post on social media. Most of these won't go on my NJM Flicks account, but they'll go on my NJMagram account, which I will leave in the description. Most of them, to be honest with you, have already been posted, along with other adventures that Nicole and I go on. These are the 4 images that I would keep. Number 1 and number 4 are quite similar. Not sure which one I prefer. Don't know whether it's a little bit messy having the flowers at the bottom, but I do quite like the colour pop there. I love this picture of Nicole with her little eyes peeking through. Nice memory sitting there and having a beer. And I like the simplicity of the third photo. Beautiful flowers up alongside the stairs, the blue and pink sort of colour opposites as well, are really nice colour combinations. I did just very quickly want to mention ColorPlus because, as I said to you before, I'd used it once a long time ago, and don't really trust the results that I got from the camera because I would have exposed it incorrectly. So this was the first time exposing it more accurately. The first day I used it, it was quite dull. So the results were a little bit dull. I like the nostalgic feel to it, but when the sun comes out, this is definitely a stock that excels in more light, more so than other film stocks do. This roll of film, the second one, was much brighter, and I feel like the results were much better. The colour pops are brilliant, and you get a little bit less grain, a little bit of dirtiness in the shadows. I think just generally speaking, it's a nicer film to use when it's sunny. Anyway, enough about ColorPlus, because we're on to a new film now and then into a nice beach day. Ektar 100 then. This is the first time I'd use this ever. So I have never used this for street photography or landscapes or portraits or anything, and I really liked it. Obviously 100 ISO, so it's a wee bit limiting if the weather isn't good. or if you're in more dark, dingy situations. So for street photography, it might be quite tricky, but in this particular location, when the sun is shining, it was beautiful. So my initial thoughts of those photos are that it's lovely. Now, I don't know if this is true or not, but this is apparently the negative version of Kodachrome, which was obviously slide film. Don't know how true it is, but I've heard a few people mention that. And the box colors may be a bit of a giveaway, how it renders the colors. I mean, it's never going to be Kodachrome for a start. It's negative film, not positive film, but I'd like to try this on the street just to sort of get a feel for it, see what it's really like. Anyway, that was the beach day done. And by the way, how good was that drone footage? Oh, I love the drone. It gives such a cool, different perspective, and I think it worked really nicely into the video. So I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you did in the comments. But on to the next day, which was my birthday, and we're gonna go straight back to Tenby, and we're going fishing. From a smiling Nathan in the past to a smiling Nathan in the now. Fishing was class, but let me tell you, it was not successful for the fishing. I caught 0 fish and Nicole caught just 1 little fish, although she likes to think it was a bit bigger, but we'll come on to that in a bit. But what I haven't told you yet is that I loaded the Yashica with Tri-X. You may have noticed it if you were paying attention yesterday, as I did snap a few photos on the beach, not many, but a couple. But yeah, so the fishing wasn't successful, but the photos on the boat when we went fishing were. And the most important thing was that Nicole had a great time. And I also had a great time. Fishing was a laugh, and we would definitely recommend that. Again, I'll leave the link in the description because I cannot for the life of me remember off the top of my head what we did. That was basically it. After that, I think we sat down and we had a coffee and an ice cream or a milkshake or something. I can't really remember at this point, to be honest with you, but nothing noteworthy. Little wander around Tenby. And then we drove back to the campsite. And as we did, the weather really improved. And I took this photo, which was the last photo on the Mamiya RZ. So this is a good opportunity to talk about the Mamiya and also the film stock. I used Portra 400, but because it was expired by about 7 years, I reduced it by 1 stop to 200 ISO. And although the exposure was fine, there was some weird color shifts, which I'll go into. So if you look at this photo, it was the first on the roll. I then went and moved myself slightly, took another photo. I then came back and then I took this photo, which is exactly the same spot, exactly the same time, but completely different colors, which you would not expect. And that I can only put down to, obviously, it being an expired film, which is one thing you're gonna get with expired film. It is to be expected. You are gonna get some color shifts. You might get a little bit more grain, and you are gonna have to overexpose it slightly. Usually we'd recommend a stop for every 10 years of expiration. And this was 2018. So 7 years, just checking. And so I basically went 1 stop. So in theory, if anything, I've overexposed it, but I'd rather over than underexpose it. Now, the Mamiya, what a beautiful camera. Honestly, I absolutely love it. It is amazing. I love using it. I love the image quality that it produces. Now, obviously, 90% of the photography that I take is street photography. So it's not perfect for that because you want to be discreet on the street. And I haven't quite got around to properly having a go on the street yet, but I will, I promise, and there is a video coming on that. But one thing that keeps catching me out, and I did this a couple of times, is you can rotate the back. So for those of you that don't know, you flick this switch here, which goes to R, which means you can rotate to landscape or portrait. Now, I keep forgetting that I've rotated it and my composition is a little bit incorrect. It does actually show you on there, so it is purely a photographer error, not a camera error. It's a photographer error for sure. So the next roll I shot on there was worse than this one, but there was a couple of images that I just didn't rotate and I just basically composed incorrectly because of that. So here are the 14 images that I would keep. But I do want to quickly address that I appreciate I'm shooting a 6x7 camera, but I have got a 4x5 back on it, purely just to get more images out. I get more resolution and I get more images. So for me, that's kind of the best of both worlds. And despite there being some strange color shifts, there was a few photos that I really liked on this roll. Here are the 5 that I really liked that I would post on social media. Nothing world class or incredibly standoutish here, but there's a few nice photos in there. And these are the 3 that I would print. You've got a nice variety of an evening sort of sunset, which actually in truth is a wee bit grainy, and I can only put that down to obviously the expiration of the film. Then you've got this middle photo, which I really like. You've got the red boat, the blue sky, the beautiful blue ocean, which has come out lovely on Portra. And then you've got this nice sort of greenery at the front to sort of accent and draw your eye inwards. And then on the right, you've got beautiful soft morning light, and you've got this lovely sort of green at the front. And it's just a nice composition. That is the first of 2 rolls of 120 done. I liked it, it wasn't amazing. The second roll is much better and it's coming up next. I've just realised your big fat butt's in the way of the camera.
I didn't realise you were playing it.
Second roll of 120, and there's 2 things to talk about here. Firstly, how good is Ektar? It is absolutely beautiful. The colours are stunning. They're punchy, as in saturated, but they're almost not overly saturated. It's like the perfect balance. And if you punch in on the images, you can just see how fine the grain is and how beautiful this film stock looks. The second thing to talk about is me being an idiot, because as we talked about before with the rotating back on the Mamiya, basically what I did is not rotate for 4 of the images, which is a shame because they could have been a lot better. But overall, I would say that the camera is great, the film stock is amazing, and if you're shooting 120, I would highly recommend it. In fact, as we discussed before, even in 35, it is beautiful, and I highly recommend that too. And these are the 14 images that I would keep. And despite the photographer being a moron and not rotating the back on 4 of the images, as discussed, the roll of film came out really nicely. And yes, it would have been better had I rotated properly, but it was salvageable. And I love the colours of Ektar, and I love the high quality you get from 120 film. Once you get rid of the images that I should have rotated so weren't composed correctly, then you're left with these 11. Like I said, overall, I was really happy with the roll. And these are the ones that I would post. These are the 5 images that I would print. We'll go from left to right. And I love this first photo. I love the teal and orange colours, plus you got the subject of the boat in the middle. I thought that was a really nice composition. The second and fourth images are some of my favourites that I took on the whole trip. I love the boat and I love the composition of both of them. I think they're really nice. I love the simplicity of the third photo. yeah, really nice. The colours, the softness to the sky. It's just a really nice photo. And then it's not really my style of photo, the fifth one, but if you punch in on this image, you can see the quality and the clarity of the bee. It's just incredible. Now, I'm not going to win any awards for these photos or any of the photos on this trip, but there were a couple in there that were some of my favourites from the trip. So hope you guys enjoyed them. So when I got back, it was time to open some presents, and I got some really good ones. Thank you to everyone who bought me presents, especially Nicole, who put on a beautiful week for me. I'm very lucky, so thank you to her. Next up, it's barbecue time. Last morning this morning, so it's been a bit of a lazy one. We're sort of just prepping the car and whatnot and packing and sorting ourselves out. So chilled one after a busy day yesterday. It was obviously my birthday yesterday, so we went fishing, which was unreal. Went round Tenby, had a banging ice cream, the Dubai chocolate. See if we've got a picture, chuck it in. What else did we do? What else did we do? Yesterday, we got some chips. We were hungry after fishing. Oh, fishing was a bit of a disaster. I got 0 fish. Nicole got one little tiny one, but it was class. She said it was big. I'll let you guys be the judge. We'll stick a photo in. After that, we came back here. I went off for a little bit with the Mamiya RZ the 4x5 back on it, and you've probably seen the images already, but that was quite nice to chill and just do things in my own pace while Nicole set up the birthday table. And then, yeah, we just chilled, a couple of ciders, a couple of beers, and then played some games. It was nice, chilled evening. So this morning is a chilled one, packing up. Nicole's doing some breakfast currently.
Big breakfast today.
Yeah, what's the breakfast today?
Sausage, eggs and beans.
And then we're gonna go back to Dale, have a little walk around there, grab an ice cream, and then unfortunately, it's time to head home. After 50 minutes, our journey is almost over. Thank you so much if you're still watching, you're a legend. We do have a little bit of housekeeping because we have the Yashica T4 with some Tri-X. Although we didn't finish the roll, we do need to go through on which ones we're gonna keep, post and print. And we still need to do that on the Canon AE1, on the Ektar 100. Again, I haven't finished the roll, but we're close enough for me to do it. So without further ado, let's crack on to that. I think I took 24 photos on the Yashica, and these were the 21 images that I would keep. I tend to use the Yashica more for like the just general everyday shots, where I was using the Canon and the Mamiya for the more sort of landscapey shots. So you get more humans in the Yashica photos. But yeah, I quite like this as a roller film. I think it's come out quite nicely and tells a little bit of the story, and I am a bit of a sucker for black and white. Of the 21, these are the 19 that I would post on social media. Again, all of these images, or a lot of these images, would have gone on NJMagram, which is one of my personal Instagram accounts. NJM Flicks might have had a few on. The links are all in the description if you want to check me out. And of those 19 I would post, here are the 6 that I would print. I really love Tri-X. It is a lovely film stock. It's one I use a lot in street photography. And I think it was a really nice way to finish off the Yashica whilst we were away. Got some nice images here. On to Ektar then. And as we talked about, this film stock is beautiful. I really like it. The colours are lovely, especially when it's sunny. It is glorious. And these are the 23 images from the roller film that I would keep. I think I got through about 28 or 29, so a pretty good success rate, and yeah, nice mixture here of our holiday, and yeah, love them. Really nice stock. I highly recommend it. Of the 23, I would post 21 of them. Again, they'll be on social media. All the links are in the description. I won't post them all, but these are the ones that I would happily put on social media and represent myself. And these are the 5 I would print. Again, the same as most film stocks, color negative film loves light. And when it's sunny, it does make a massive difference. And I really like these photos partly because of the light. I love this side profile picture of Nicole. I love the beautiful colors in the second one. I like the colors and I like the composition in the third one. Fourth one is a really cute little photo. The colors from the sky are really beautiful on the sea, and I love the subject of a boat. And the last image is this nice photo from the beach. So that's your lot, guys. Thank you so much for watching. It means a lot. Make sure you let me know in the comments which of these images or which of these film stocks you preferred. Hopefully you got a little bit of a taste of what it's like to go away camping with Nicole and I. We have a laugh. We eat lots of good food. We do lots of activities, whether that's walking or paddleboarding and everything in between. If you did like the video, please do hit that like button. It makes a big difference, and consider subscribing because there will be more videos just like this talking about film photography. I also wanted to say thank you to Nicole for allowing me to film all that while we were away. We had a wicked time and she made it just brilliant. It was the best birthday. So thank you very much, Nicole. You're the best. Till the next one, guys. Peace.